I wanted to go over something that was kind of pressing on my mind, my heart, my soul over the last few days. This is something that I wanted to talk about with regard to Big G's. Now, as many of you know, we've just passed the 1 year anniversary of his passing. Now, I'm not going to pretend like my feelings, my emotions, and my thoughts somehow trump anyone else's or even rivaled to his family, friends, and the people who are close to him. I'm merely a guy who watched the show and was fans of a show, and I liked Garrison as he appeared on the show. I liked the way he presented himself. And I thought that there was a lot about him that was very admirable for what I could see. And as I thought about what happened with him, there is a big push to want to make sure that Kody is held accountable for what happened based on what we see on the television show. I'm not going to lay blame on Kody or anything else because, like I said before, I don't really know Garrison. I don't know what he struggled with. I don't know what his issues were. I don't know what caused him to make the decision that he made that fateful day. But in respect of the show, and from what I've seen on Sister Wives over the last 19 seasons, how Kody has treated not only his wives, but his children throughout the process of that show and words that have come out of his mouth, there is room, I think, for us to be able to have a discussion or at least a conversation about some of these feelings and some of these emotions. And I frankly just want to be able to get these things off my chest. So I'm going to use this particular platform. This will start out as a members only video. I think I may put this onto my regular channel. I'm not sure yet, just because one, I don't want to make any money off of this. So this video, if I do put it onto my regular channel, will be a non-monetized video. Like, I'm not going to monetize this. So if you want to support the channel, or if you like what I say, go ahead, give me the thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. That's fine, but this will not be a monetized video as far as YouTube is concerned. But with regard to that, I also wanted to make sure that I had something worthy of saying, because I don't want to be one of those people just because I have a platform, want to throw some content out and just say something about it because that's what you're supposed to do. I wanted to make sure that I actually had something to say, which is what drove me to do this particular video. Now, as I go through this, I hope you guys stay patient. I'm not going to edit this, so this is just my raw thoughts, my raw emotions, and I'm just going to run through some things that I have written down or jotted down to kind of keep pace so that it doesn't go all over the place. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was with regard to a concept called good enough. And when I think about that, it really strikes me that, you know, watching the show, it just seemed like the kids were never in a position to feel like they were good enough to deserve the time and attention and affection of their father. And that bothers me about a lot of what we see on the show as it's presented now. Now, we could also make an argument that the OG3 were in a position where they too didn't feel like they were good enough. They were given lists and dictates and orders that they were supposed to follow in order for Kody to, you know, bless them and give them time and attention. And that time and attention feeling also translated to his time and attention that he spent with his kids, which I thought was a shame, or at least as it's presented again on the show. And when I talk about good enough, there was a television show not long ago called Empire. It starred Terrence Howard, Taraji P. Henson, and it was essentially like a Dallas show, Falcon Crest, like some of those older shows where it was like a nighttime soap opera type show where you had people who were living these extravagant lives and they were doing these things and big time things. And there was a lot of scandal, a lot of sex and sexuality and stuff mixed in their affairs and all that. And one of the storylines in the show was the main character, Terrence Howard, was kind of a Puff Daddy type figure who was a CEO of a music company. And while he was, before he made it and before he came up, he was married to Taraji P. Henson, her character, her name was Cookie on the show. He's married to Cookie, and they have 3 children, 3 boys. And one of the young men is actually, and it's not really clear, I guess, they kind of say he always knew he was part of the LGBTQ plus community, but there was a party that was being held at the house, and Lucius Lyon, Terrence Howard's character, is sitting there and he's playing cards and he's throwing cards down, and out walks his son, who is about 9 or 10 years old, maybe younger. He's probably about 7 or 8 years old. And he's wearing his mom's heels with a boa on and lipstick on, and he's walking out sashaying. The dad sees it. He throws his cards down. He gets up. He starts yelling at everybody, picks up his son, takes him outside, opens up the trash can and throws his son in the trash can. He basically throws his son away. And later, when the child grows up, he sings a song called Good Enough. It's actually a very good song. It's very powerful. And he says that no matter what he does, no matter what he achieves, he always felt like he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough to fill the shoes that his father had laid out for him. Ironically, the shoes, get it? Because he got caught wearing his mom's shoes, and now he's saying he could never fill his own shoes to where his father would love him. It's very metaphorical in a lot of ways. But part of that is, when I look at the story of Garrison, again, Big G's, as it was presented on the show, it's very clear that he was never received as being good enough. He struggled with that. And I think that that's part of the problem. That's what a lot of people, when they criticize Kody and they try to lay blame at his feet with regard to what happened with Garrison, I think a lot of that stems from that feeling that no matter what this young man achieved, he was never good enough. It was never enough that he did these things. Now, if you look at his resume as produced, like I said, presented on the show, this is a young man who enlisted into the military. Instead of trying to go to school and suck up the family funds, he enlisted in the military. He served his time serving his country, comes out, gets himself a job, enrolls in school using the GI Bill, again, taking less money from the family, taking less money out of Kody's pockets and out of the family coffers. And during the time when he comes out, he's in school, he's working full time, he starts to he buys a truck that he always wanted to buy, a new truck that he always wanted to buy. He purchases that. He goes out and he gets a house. And these are major milestones for anyone, especially a young man who is in his 20s. This is like ridiculous time that you would be able to buy a house in your mid 20s, right? It's quite the accomplishment. And even still, after he accomplishes all these things, it just seems like his father still doesn't accept him, like he's not good enough, that he doesn't reach a certain level of value. And that's one of the struggles I think that he had possibly, in his life, in which could have added or at least contributed to him ultimately making that decision. I'm not going to say this is the only thing that he had going on, because he was a person with a fully fleshed out and colorful life. He had everything going on. And it's hard for me to escape that realization. And I do think that part of it too is the unfairness of something that we all kind of pass on to our kids. I was watching and like I said, this is part of my process. I was watching videos or whatever. I saw this little clip-it or snippet or short or whatever it was an interview with the new Captain America, a guy named Anthony Mackie. And he was talking about his career. And he said that, it really weighed on him. And this is something that I guess I've always kind of peripherally known, that it really weighed on him, this new discovery, or this new epiphany that he finally discovered. And the epiphany was this, that the American dream, as sold to many of us, isn't as formulaic as it's presented to us. Like, we're told that if you do your best, you work hard, you commit yourself, that you can make your dreams come true, that you can get success simply by engaging and being a part of. It's almost inevitable that you will be successful because you deserve it, because you put in the time, energy, and effort and the investment. But as he talked about it, he said that as an actor of 24 years, working in the industry for 2 decades plus, being involved with at least 3 movies that are Oscar-winning movies and projects, being involved with, blockbuster films and having money on top of money and all these things, this training that he received. He went to Juilliard. He went to these high schools, these fancy training acting schools. So he has the education and he applied himself. He did the hard work. He struggled. And all it came down to was at the end of the day, somebody selected him. It wasn't that he was self-made. It's just that he was selected for this opportunity. And anybody who you look at was selected. It's not because they worked harder than anybody else and they committed themselves more than anybody else. I'm sure that was part of them preparing themselves for the opportunity. But when the opportunity presented itself, it's because they were selected to take advantage of that opportunity. They were chosen for that opportunity. Because you have people who work damn hard, and they still struggle to pay their bills. They still don't have a home. They still struggle to make car payments, to put food on the table. And they work very hard. They work 2 or 3 jobs hard. They work overtime hard. They work 60, 70 hours a week hard, 80 hours a week hard. But they still don't have ends meeting. So it's, again, this is kind of that thing. So when I look at that and I think of that in connection to Garrison was doing everything that he should have done. There's no reason, if you look at it and just on the stat level, he served his country. He enrolled in school. He was enrolled in school. He bought himself a car. He was self-sufficient. He bought himself a house. He was accomplishing all these milestones, and he still wasn't good enough because he wasn't selected. Kody's other children were selected. He chooses to spend time with them. They haven't accomplished anything. I mean, God bless them. They're children. What can they accomplish? What can Solomon do that's going to, I'm impressing Kody because I'm working hard. Like, there's nothing he could do. He's just selected because of who his mom is. And there's a certain unfairness with that. So with that being said, it reminds me of the idea that you have to know your value. You have to know your value. You have to know what your place is, right? And so that's kind of your responsibility. On the other side of that, there's responsibility on Kody's part. And I lay a lot of the blame, a lot of the responsibility at his feet, because ultimately it was his decisions. Now, as I talked about, like, the opportunities, Kody, him and the family have made millions of dollars over the course of the last, 15 years. The truth of the matter is not because they were working hard and they deserved that money, but they were selected to get that money, just the tail end of what I was saying. But once they received that money and they received that opportunity, what did he do with it? There's this show itself was kind of based on a religious undertone. We're polygamous because of our faith. But there's also a part of that, where we look at the good book, and I think specifically of Luke, and it just kind of crashed on me as I was thinking about this topic. There's a verse that says, "To whom much is given, much is required." And as you acquire these things and you get these blessings, you aren't being blessed just for you. This blessing isn't your blessing. This blessing is meant to be shared. This is an opportunity for you to be able to not only improve your life, but you're supposed to improve the lives of the people around you. You're supposed to take these people with you, the people who supported you, the people who had your back, the people who were there struggling with you. You're supposed to help those people. To whom much is given, much is required. You're supposed to share that benefit, that blessing. That blessing isn't for you. That blessing is so you could bless others. That's the whole purpose of it. And that's where it comes from. So when I'm sitting here watching Kody and he's taking care of himself, or he's taking care of the people he wants to take care of, and he's ignoring other people and he's isolating himself from other people, that's not you sharing your blessings. That's not you doing what's required of you for being blessed and given that opportunity. Now, we could say that, you know, we look back and we listen to the OG3 talk about how when Kody first came up, how he was and how good he was with the kids and how he was this involved father and he was this involved husband. The truth of it is that when he received the show, people say that the reason why he changed and the reason why he's different is because of Robin. I beg to differ. I think that Robin is a correlation. She happened around the same time, but I don't think she was a causation. I think the causation was the fact that he received that show. And because he received that show, it gave him the opportunity to actually start dating and courting Robin. It also gave him the opportunity to become the man that he always wanted to be. And unfortunately for the OG3 as well as the OG13, the man that he always wanted to be was not a father to these people, was not a lover and a companion to these other women. So because he was given these things, he basically became the person that we see now. And he isolated himself from that. Now, with regard to the value of this young man and his opportunities, it really strikes me. There's a meme that goes around on some of the more popular social media sites. And it's not really a meme, it's a short. And in the short, it specifically says that there is a father who, you know, upon his daughter's graduation, he goes to her and he said, "You graduated with honors, and I want to give you this car. Now, I acquired this car many, many years ago, and I want you to have it. But before I give it to you, I want you to know and understand what it is I'm giving you. So before I give it to you, I want you to take it down to the used car lot downtown. And I want you to tell those people that I want to sell this car and find out how much they're willing to give you for it." She takes the car downtown. She does the whole thing. The guy does, you know, walks around and kicks the tires, look at it, and he gives her an estimate. So she comes back and she tells her father that when I talked to the people downtown at this car lot, they offered me $1,000 because they said that the car looked very old and worn out. So the father, okay, all right. The car looked old and worn out. $1,000, you say. All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the car down to the pawn shop, okay? And you go to the pawn shop and you tell them that I want to sell the car and see what they offer you. So she does that as her father had asked her to do. She takes it down to the pawn shop, you know, what's wrong with dad? She takes it down. The guy, you know, looks at it. He's like, okay, you got the title. All right, goes out, looks around at the car, kicks the tires, checks it out and says, "I tell you what, I will give you $100 because this car is very old. This is a very old car. So I'll give you $100 for it." And the father says, "Wow, $100. So $1,000, $100. Car lot versus pawn shop." I tell you what, last thing I want you to do. I want you to take the car down to the car club. And I just simply want you to show them the car. Don't tell them you want to sell it enough. Just show it to them. Simply show it to them. So she's like, "All right, take this old bucket of bolts down to the car shop." Down to the car shop. "Yes, Dad, I'll do it for you." So she takes it to the car shop. And while she's there, some of the members see the car. They get very excited about it. They all gather around looking at the car. And some of the members offer her $100,000 for this car. The same car that the car lot had offered her $1,000 for, the same car that the pawn shop had offered her $100. These people down here offered her $100,000 for the car. And according to them, They wanted to give her $100,000 because this was an iconic car that was very rare and it was highly sought after by many people. They just couldn't get their hands on it. This car is crazy expensive. And the father wanted to share with his daughter that the right place will value you the right way. If you are not valued to be what you want to be or where you think you should be, don't get mad, don't get angry, don't get sad. Just realize that you're talking to the wrong people. You're in the wrong place. Those who know your value and appreciate your value will appreciate you. When you see that these people don't respect you, they don't appreciate you, and they don't recognize your value, don't stay around with those people. Instead, find people who do value you. And this is important. This is an important lesson, not just for, Kody and the OG 13. This is an important lesson for all of us because all of us have been in situations and relationships, whether it's romantic, professional, or whatever, where the people whom we work for, the people we're chasing that American dream for, we're working hard, we're committed, we're invested, we're involved, and we're doing these things, those people don't value us. And instead of us sitting in those places and allowing them to continue to devalue us, what we need to do is remove ourselves from that situation and find ourselves a place where we will be valued and surround ourselves with those individuals, because those individuals will invest in you. Those people will believe in you. Those people will lift you up when you fall down. Those people will help to carry you through when you find things that you have to struggle about and when you meet obstacles. But when I think about this situation with the TV show is presented with Kody and how he talked to his son, one of the things that also occurs to me is that not only did he not teach his kid, value his kid, he didn't give his kid this type of lesson. He didn't tell his kid that they need to be valued, that they are valuable, that they should be sought after. And he denied him that opportunity, and he's denying his other kids this opportunity, at least as it's presented on the show. Like I said, there's a lot of things that we can see on television and we can dismiss as being part of the storyline and scripted or whatever the case may be. But there are certain things that we can see from the show that we can extrapolate and use towards our own ends and to our own benefit. And that's why I started the channel on that premise. And I just wanted to be able to drop that thought here, I guess, in the members, and I'll maybe drop it in the general. I don't know. We'll see. But this is just something that was on my mind. Guys, hopefully you guys are finding yourself valued, that you trust your own value, that you see that value in yourself, and then you allow yourself to express who you are, what you are, to the fullest extent. This life is very short, and it's not guaranteed. Okay, you might feel, if you're a very young person, older folks really understand this. As a young person, you feel like you have all the time in the world. But when you turn a couple cycles on this planet, you go around the sun a few times, you start to realize, because of your experience and things that you see, that nobody is guaranteed. And you have to make the most of it. So instead of you wasting your time with people who don't deserve your time, find people who deserve your time because they appreciate your time and they respect your value. And those people who will look at you and say that you're good enough. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any